Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to yet another episode of LAJA TV. And we come back to you with news, views, opinions, and stories of successes of women from across the world. LAJA, as you know, is a forum that gives women a non judgmental space to be themselves. LAJA is India's first forum to do this. And at Laja, we believe that women really don't need empowerment. Women are already empowered because we manage to do so many roles and handle so many responsibilities with ease. Laja is a space where you can be yourselves, where you can learn if you want to, where you can be inspired by the other women that you see, where you can grow and in turn inspire others as you grow. Joining me today is my colleague and co host, Sarah Berry. Sarah is a freelance writer, soft skills trainer, communication strategist, and advisor for leading corporates, and now is on board Laja TV. Welcome, Sarah, and I hand the dice over to you for the news. So let's hear some news about women across.
Thank you so much, Vandana, for that very warm welcome and that lovely introduction. And yes, thank you for handing me over the news section. And welcome to all of you. And thank you so much for watching and listening to us. And we have some great positive news these first 15 days of the month. To begin with, we have 15-year-old Gitanjali Rao, who was selected from over 5,000 nominees, aged between 8 to 16 years, and she is Time's first ever Kid of the Year. While the world through 2020 has been in and out of lockdown and restrictions, Gitanjali was busy working on a mobile device to test for lead in drinking water. And Gitanjali believes that each one of us has right to clean drinking water, to the access of drinking clean water. And she believes that in her quest to make this a reality, she has come up with a device she calls Tithes that can detect lead in drinking water. And all this is done with the help of a pocket-sized device. Yes, a pocket-sized device, just imagine. And this device tests the water and also sends the report to your mobile phone via an app. Isn't that cool? So Gitanjali Rao, 15-year-old, the first to feature in Time as the Kid of the Year. Now, listen to this. This is really cool. A 63-year-old lady transformed the road outside the Nanak Piao Sahib Gurudwara. Now, transformed from what to what? Here it comes. This is in North Delhi, by the way, from a dump yard into a beautiful garden. Dump yard into a beautiful garden. Renu Gupta is this lady's name, and she's a resident of Delhi. She used her spare time, her creativity, and inclination to transform a dumping ground right outside the Gurudwara using readily available material, discarded tiles, junk, flowering plants, you name it. And age is really not a number, as you can see. So she transformed this dumping yard into a beautiful garden. Really way to go, dear lady. And then 90-year-old Margaret Keenan became the first person in the world to receive the Pfizer BioNTech vaccination against COVID-19 in the United Kingdom. And she said, when she received this vaccination, that she feels so privileged to be the first person vaccinated against COVID-19. And she said that it's the best early birthday present that she could have wished for. Wow. Kudos to her. Kudos to you, Maggie, really. And she turned 91 recently. I think the week that's gone by. So wonderful. And she also added, by the way, that this will enable her to spend time with friends and family, something that she was really missing out on. I think we all have been missing out on that physical interaction with our friends, with our family members. You know, technology is one thing, but that physical interaction is a totally different ballgame altogether. And the news is not over yet, by the way. K. Jayalakshmi, a class 11 student, just received an invitation from NASA. And Jayalakshmi, who solely supports her family's finance at this age, is all set to visit NASA in May next year. Can you imagine? This opportunity came knocking at the door when Jaya Lakshmi won an online competition. And the girl studies in a Tamil Nadu government school and had taken English coaching classes for a month, which helped her score grade 2 and emerge as the best performer. So, really, this is a wonderful achievement. And imagine how she must have felt when she received this invitation to visit NASA. It's such a big achievement. And she took special online English classes to actually perfect her English language as much as is possible. So, way to go, girl, really. And then one more great news, rather, two more. So 41-year-old K. Wellinkani, she's a fisherwoman from Nambikai Nagar. She started her own initiative, and just wait for it, that converts fish waste into value added products. Wow. So she now makes a turnover of rupees 13 lakhs in just a year. And what inspired her? The irregular and sparse income that was coming into the family. Her husband is a fisherman, so it was very difficult for her family to sustain. And what did she do? She took the opportunity that the Central Institute of Brackish Aquaculture, SIBA for short, who invited her for a training on how to convert fish waste into wealth. And this is what she has now been doing. And now 200 to 300 kilograms of fish waste is processed into value added products. And her firm is called VS Fish Waste Hydrolysate. So there it is. And now, for last but not the least, and I'm sure there are lots of other positive news, but we have just this much of time. So here comes the last one. As per the data of the fifth National Family Health Survey, 2019 2020, I saw this in the Economic Times, this piece, the number of bank accounts that women not only hold, but also operate has increased significantly. In 10 states and union territories, 80 to 90% of women account holders run their accounts themselves. So kudos to this encouragement to be financially literate. This is really amazing. And in Bihar, for instance, the number of women operating their bank accounts rose from 26.4% to 76.7%. In Karnataka, from 59.4% to 88.7%. And in Assam, from 45.4% to 78.5%. So this is a wrap up basically on all the positive news pertaining to women of the world. And here is wishing you all lots and lots of more positivity. Of course, I'll be back, but I'm handing it over now to Vandana, who's got our special guest today on board, and she will let you know more about it. Vandana, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. And you know what, like you said, the last piece on financial stability and women operating more and more accounts is quite heartening, because all along, though women have been the ones who have run the home and managed the finances at home, they've always had to depend on their husbands. And
Mm.
if now women are actually sitting up and starting their own accounts, I think this is an amazing thing to happen. And I think if you have financial stability, if you have financial know-how, you will be in a much better position to, work your life yourself and,
Mm.
grow wherever you want. And I'm not just talking in terms of traveling, but I'm talking in terms of your own individual growth. So I think this is amazing, and kudos to all those women who have taken that step. I just hope that even though the accounts are being opened by them, I hope they are the ones who are actually operating the accounts and not
Yes.
doing it on behalf of their husbands. So
True that.
yes. So yeah, that choked me maybe. uh, all right, so let's bring on our guest. Our guest is a very special person for Laja. She is one of our Laja mentors. She is she's a certified image professional, CIP from the Association of Image Consultants International, AICI, in a select league of individuals to be awarded the professional level certification. She is president elect for AICI Singapore chapter. She is a mentor for the Sherry Blair Foundation of Women. She has been extensively covered by various media, TV shows, newspapers, and scores of digital media groups. She's a mother to two adorable children, a boy and a girl, and is a very, very vocal advocate for adoption. I'm talking about none other than Jainee Gandhi, who's joining us right now from Singapore. Welcome, Jainee. So happy to see you here.
Hi, Vandana.
Hi. So, yes. So I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Jenny is a mentor at Laja, and she has, is ready to help out all the women who've been looking for professional help in terms of their branding and image building, and also the way they dress. And I guess she's also helping out a couple of our women set up their own image consulting businesses. So
Yeah,
this is Jenny for you.
thank you so much.
Yes. So, Janie, the reason why we wanted you on Laja for this episode of Laja TV is because, among all the other things that you do, you are a very vocal advocate of adoption,
Yeah,
and you have been sharing stories about your own, your experience with adoption, and what you had to go through it. So I wanted to touch upon that, because one is, in November we were celebrating, the world is supposed to have celebrated World Adoption Day. Unfortunately, while it looks good on calendar and while it looks great when we talk about it on social media, people are still not much aware of how to go about for adoption, what do you do, how easy or difficult it is. So I wanted to have this discussion with you, and first start off with, is there a need to inform and educate people about adoption? What do
so
you
okay.
say?
Is my voice audible?
Perfect, loud and clear.
So first, I want to say that adoption is a extremely personal thing that a couple needs to sit and decide. India or Asians, I see we are very centric on what our families also have to say about it. So obviously, it starts with the couple. I always say the husband and the wife has to be on the same page, or whatever gender couples you are, but you have to be on the same page as to, are both partners willing to adopt, or is it just a one person thing? So that's the first thing. Second, awareness on adoption is extremely important. And I don't want to be judgmental in saying anything. So I'm very careful about the words that I use. But I feel that when someone, there are two kinds of people who adopt. One who have gone through the traditional methods of having a baby and they are not able to due to some reason. They've gone through all medical, things available and they're not able to. And then that's when they go to adoption, that, okay, they want a child in their life and adoption is one of the ways. The other way that people, the other sector of people are people who voluntarily from day one decide that they are going to adopt. Now, couples who voluntarily decide that they are going to adopt are very clear from day one that they are going to adopt, and that's the whole conversation they have with each other, they have with their parents. So that's pretty much sorted. It's the first category that even when I talk to people, when who they are prospective, they're thinking about adoption or anyways, it's the first category that is confused because I understand that adoption still is a tiny bit stigma. I have never faced. I mean, rarely one or two incidences here or there, but I genuinely don't even count them. So I have rarely faced any stigma in terms of our family, our extended relatives, our friends, or anyone who comes to know. So in that way, I see that things have progressed. Something like this 20, 25 years back was a very hush concept. Now it is not. But awareness is important, is because I see myself as a very globally viable person, and I'm very aware of what's happening around me. When my child came home, I had already gotten, you get these baby books that you fill when you have a child, the first hair, the first teeth, and everything you do. You get similar books for even adopted babies.
Okay.
So I got that for her. There are lots of reading material like storybooks which are already there. So people awareness in terms is this, because I know that couples are not afraid of adoption. What I see is they're afraid as to what after that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Also, like you said, social stigma is, I think that is one of the reasons which, keeps people back. What will people say? Like even when I was having this discussion, when we were talking about this topic, and the first thing that somebody told me was, even when movies like Good News, where the heroine says कि अपना खून तो अपना
अपना
होता
होता
है,
है.
when your stars and the mass media is talking about things like that, how do you convince your family who's still stuck in the traditional rut? How do you tell them that it's okay to open your heart and your home to a child from outside?
Can I?
So
Can I? I'm just going to share a very personal incident. I know that Bollywood plays a huge role in our lives, in, generally across everywhere where Indians are, Bollywood plays a huge role. There is a stand-up comic on Netflix. I don't want to name him, but in his stand-up comic special, he mentioned about, कि तुझे कचरे के डब्बे से लेकर आए होंगे, and all those regular jokes that are there. So I just screenshot that from Netflix and I sent it to him. I said that, hey, you have a voice, and if you are going to be negligent about the voice that you use, then it's a stigma that you're spreading. And I have an adopted child. I don't want that 10 years down the line, when she sees your show, she feels that she is someone less, because I don't want to make her feel. So please
absolutely.
be aware of what you're saying in future. And respect to him, he did reply that, hey, I'm absolutely sorry. I never realized this from this angle. But next time when I'm writing my jokes for any special or anything, I'm going to be extremely mindful of what I say, because I'm going to be influencing. So my whole point is that anytime something like this happens, we have to raise a voice. I don't want to raise a voice on smaller issues, but when a stigma, that a movie like a Good News is a huge movie, and whatever it says or portrays in that movie, that the chances are that it creates a stigma, especially for families which are on the fence. They will be like, oh, say, even a big producer or an actress is willing to say such things. That's when I feel that if you have a voice, use that voice and point that out very actively, whether
Absolutely.
people listen to it or not, but someone will. So when things like this happen, I'm very vocal on my social media that I point out. Maybe only one person listens to it, but I know that if that makes a difference in one person's life, it's a, how do you say, it's a snowball effect. People, it affects people positively going forward.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you're we are very right in saying that we need to, if we see something wrong, we need to actually stand up and say that, hey, this is wrong. I don't know how many of us do it, but even one person doing it will make a difference. Okay, so going on to my next question, what does one really need to keep in mind while considering adoption? Social pressures aside, what is the actual process, and what does one have to keep in mind? Is it like you put in your papers for adoption and it
So,
happens within a year, or how long? What is the
okay.
process?
So we
Sorry.
call adoption paper pregnancy.
Ah, okay.
But a child is not guaranteed after 9 months. Oh, you can do it. It's okay.
No, 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 that's okay. Yeah, tell
Okay.
me.
So we call adoption a paper pregnancy, and a child is not guaranteed after 9 months.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, I
okay,
didn't know that.
the process is that there is a Indian website, Kara, that's a Central Adoption Registrative Authority, which is your one authority in India that looks after adoption. And that's when people should register. Obviously there are other laws called the Hamsa law, if I'm not wrong. It's the Hindu Religious Act something, but you need to be actually very careful as to how you're going. That happens between relatives who are adopting kids, within their family, or who are adopting someone whose parents have passed away. So that happens under the Hindu Act, but I am not very clear on those acts, but they're very clearly defined on how adoption is. When it comes to Kara, the paperwork is intense. So when I adopted, the Kara had different process, but now Kara has an extremely different process. What one needs to remember is go to Kara. They're absolutely active on Twitter, and I hear that they're active on Facebook as well. Once you register on Kara, you need to register an agency that will come to your house for home study. So when you register on Kara, you can pick your child from anywhere in the country. You can either be very specific that you want from Northeast, or you want from the West, or you want from the
Okay.
South. If you want to be so particular on states, you can. But if you are not, then you can definitely keep it all India. You can pick the gender if you want to, or you can just leave it both genders. The other thing, so there are lots of things that you can pick. After that, you have to pick an agency that will come to your house to do your home study. A home study basically means that this social worker is going to come to your house, see your house, understand that you're genuine people, because like every good thing, there are things that happen even within the society. Just to avoid that, to know that you're genuine people. Because so in my time when my home study was happening, the Catholic nurse in fact even spoke to my house help, and she said that, are these good people? Do you think that they'll keep the baby well? So depending on how the agency is and what kind of home study they do, but the idea of home study, I believe, is to know how the family is and whether they are ready or not. In some cases, I've heard if the couple is not ready, or if they feel some inclination, they've also suggested that why don't you see a counselor and get your head into it. So those are the basic processes that once you register, you'll come to know. The paperwork is really high, but I tell people that if you want to apply for a US visa, it's the exact same paperwork that you do. So don't get afraid of the paperwork. Sit down, put your head into it. If it's an education thing, if it's an office or a job thing, you definitely do the paperwork. You give them papers whatever they want. So even this requires a lot of paperwork. So get down to paperwork and get it done with. The wait time is almost 2 years, 2 to 3 years. And
Okay.
with COVID, it has, in fact, I fail to understand why the wait time is so much, but maybe I don't know the whole story, but I just feel that there are a lot more babies than there are parents.
Yeah.
And as the child's age increases, the chances of adoption decreases, and
Okay.
hence it's extremely important for Kara to move fast and get these babies going to their parents. But the thing is that because the wait is 24 months to 36 months, everyone who comes to me, I tell them that even if you are 10% interested in taking this forward, start the paperwork, register your name. So once you're in the queue starts. Now you have 2 years to think, to talk to your parents, to convince your parents. If you are on the same page, if you and your partner have convinced yourselves, but your parents are not, then you have 2 years. But don't wait for 2 years to convince your parents and then register, because it takes 2 years. So you're essentially wasting 4 years.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I tell people that if you and your partner are absolutely confirmed as to how you want to do it, then just register and get going.
Wow. So how is it? So do you get to see who you get to adopt, or do you go through a selection process, or do they are the children? I don't know.
So in the
Yeah.
in the new process, so in the earlier process, it was to each orphanage how they were dealing with. Like with my orphanage, they were very clear. Then like my orphanage was fabulous. Saint Catherine's in Andheri. I think it's one of the best places I have been personally. The sisters were so protective of the kids, and the sister was very clear that this is not like a bazaar that I'm going to show you 12 kids
Absolutely.
and you pick
Yes.
up. I'm going to
Yeah.
give a child which I feel works well with you, and you tell me a yes or no. So she was extremely strict on that. But now with the new rule, because the personalization from the orphanage has been taken away, and Kara does the whole matching.
Mm.
Kara tries to match your facial features with the baby, maybe skin color, I don't know, but they try to do a. I understand psychologically it's better for
Mm.
future, and you get your first option. So if I'm in the queue for 24 months and then my number is there, then I get an email, I get an option, and I, for any reason, I get the medical file of the baby, I get all the details about the baby. For any reason I don't decide to go ahead with that child, then Kara gives me a second option, then Kara gives me a third option. But after 3 kids, I'm still saying no, then I get pushed back into the line. So I wait for another 2 years.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely makes sense. Because, like you said, this is not like going into a bazaar. This is you're
There's another interesting
investing.
thing,
Yeah.
that if your combined age of you and your partner is about 90 years, then you don't get a 0 to 2 years child, because by the time you get the child is in, later stages of their education, you'll be quite old. So that's a fantastic rule that I believe works in favor of child and parent both.
Absolutely. Wow, this has been very, very informative, and it's quite a learning. I wanted to ask you, how easy or difficult is it to adopt in India? I mean, I don't know whether you've seen it in Singapore or any other place abroad, but how easy or difficult is it to adopt in India?
So there are challenges everywhere. I am part of an adoption group which adopts from every places. Every also adoption within India is a different ball game, but Indians adopting from different countries, the rules changes. So
Okay.
anyone who's adopting from Australia or a US or Singapore and they want to adopt from India, the rules are extremely different because you're at the mercy of your Indian High Commission. And for example, Australia has a rule that they can't adopt from, certain states in Australia cannot adopt from India. So if you
Okay.
are staying in that certain state, then you cannot adopt from India. So there are these, local governmental agencies that come into play. So those adoptions are a whole different ball game, and you need to sit down with someone who will educate you in your region. But when it comes to India, I don't have a judgment or a thing on this, because I feel that you just have to go through the process. It's still bureaucracy. So in my good faith, I still want that it should move fast. Why should there be a wait for 24 months or 36 months when the ratio of parents and child is still, the kids are more and the
Yes.
parents are less? If that's the ratio, then why should there be the wait?
Absolutely.
So
Also, I think there is this fear that what if after 24 months you have, for whatever reasons, you have changed your mind?
yeah, but that's
Then
okay. I mean,
that,
it's, I feel
yeah,
that's
but then
good. If you decide to change your mind before you have a child, it's much better rather than you regret your decision once the child is home.
absolutely. Thank you, Jenny, so much. I know this is a very short conversation and there are many, many questions that I want to ask you. But for starters, I think this was a great start. And I hope that everybody who's listening to us, and whether they themselves are planning to adopt or whether they know of couples who are planning to adopt, I hope they share these insights that you have told us. And we are able to make a difference to at least a couple of children out there,
Yeah.
because I think we should do that for them. So thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you for being
Vandana.
a wonderful guest, and thank you for being a wonderful mentor to all our Laja women. And thank you for always being there for us, no matter when we call you. So thank you so much. And let
Vandana,
me
pleasure talking to you.
thank you so much. So with that, Sarah, let me bring you back on, and uh, we thank you, Jenny, and
I
we will.
Great. I'll
Yes,
take your leave then.
yes. Thank you so much,
Thank
dear.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
So, yes, Sarah, this was quite an insightful conversation, and I didn't take down notes. I think I'm going to go back to this recording and go through the notes because this was quite insightful. Uh, what are your views?
I think there were some very valid points which were brought up. Like, there was this question which Jenny brought up: what after adoption? Of course, awareness about the subject is very important. But once that happens, then what? So, that is, I think, also a challenge sometimes that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yes, so this, folks, is the last episode for the year 2020. And we will see you now on the other side of the fence in the new year in 2021. Before we close, we'd like to wish everyone out there a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we hope and pray that 2021 uh, is nothing like 2020, and it brings with it new hope, potential, possibilities, and growth for all of us. What do you say, Sarah?
Absolutely. Lots and lots of positivity and good wishes to all of you out there. And may the next year bring us lots and lots and lots of good luck and happiness and health, most
Yes.
importantly.
All right. So with that, we sign off on this episode of Laja TV. We shall be back in the new year. And before we end, like I told you, Laja is a forum for women. It's a space. It's a non-judgmental space that we give women to be themselves, to grow, to learn from others, to share their stories, to be inspired and to inspire as they go on. So with that, we end this. Good night. Take care and Happy New Year.